A very warm welcome to you, and thank you so much for joining our Homeopathy 24/7 podcast. We are going to be speaking to an array of international guests who will share their knowledge and experiences of homeopathy with you. We will discuss all types of subjects such as remedies, symptoms, and stories of health. No matter where you are with your homeopathic journey, we aim to inspire you on your quest to natural health and living. The podcast is brought to you by Mary Greensmith, the founder of Homeopathy 24/7, which is a global platform connecting you with a homeopath wherever you are in the world, 24 hours a day. So let's get started with today's chat. Please welcome Mary Greensmith.
Hello, lovely to see you. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I'm really pleased to be able to welcome Liz McKenzie. Liz, welcome.
Hi, Mary. Thanks. How lovely to see you.
Yeah, and it's so you've joined us from New Zealand, so right across the world. And I know it's a really early morning for you. So thank you so much for joining us at this time. Tell me a little bit about yourself. I know that you're on our Homeopathy 24/7 team and you've been a homeopath for a while, but you were a nurse first. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yes, exactly. Yes, I left school, had a gap year, and then went and did my nursing training. And even right from the beginning, really, I felt that I don't think that nursing was the right thing for me. I love the people side of it. I love caring for people. But I just thought, no, there's something else there. I felt quite disillusioned by the health system. Yeah, people were just given more and more medications. And as a result, their health was decreasing more and more. And their vital force was going downhill. It was just the medications were in disharmony with the person. It wasn't harmony. Yeah, and the chronic, so they'd have a whole lot of medications and their conditions would get more and more chronic. And then they'd have medications to counteract those medications.
It must have been horrible to see and watch. Yeah.
So it went against it just went against my natural instincts, and I wanted to work in health, not just freedom from disease.
Yeah. It's such a good way of putting it, isn't it, actually? Because what you want as a nurse is to be able to see people getting better and to be maintaining health, but it wasn't happening.
No, I felt like, I wasn't living my true self. I was like a bit of an imposter, handing out pills that I didn't really agree with.
Oh, okay. And did you know about homeopathy at that point?
No, I didn't actually. I went overseas and did some traveling, and then I was in France. And I think it was when I was in France that I thought, I know what I can do. I can study natural medicine, which is interesting because that's where Hahnemann spent the last part of his life. So I went back to New Zealand. I got a job for a naturopath, actually, and I was doing colonic therapy and using a lymphatic drainage machine. And while I was there, the naturopath was brilliant. She was really knowledgeable, and she used to set up courses over the weekend and get in different guest speakers who would talk about different modalities, whether it be the Alexander technique, reflexology, iridology. I learned a whole lot of different things. It was a real eye-opener. I got accredited actually the first year of natural medicine, but then for me, natural medicine was just a bit too broad, naturopathy. So I just carried on looking around, and in the meantime, had a family, and of course, was using natural medicine and homeopathy for my family.
Okay.
In fact, I can't remember how I first came across homeopathy, but it was in there somewhere. There was a local homeopath in Hawke's Bay.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And in fact, I was amazed when I recently traveled through France and stopped at the normal service station, on the main roads, and there was a leaflet they're giving away for free about homeopathy. And
wow, how cool.
we're just not used to that in the UK.
I have to go back now with my new eyes open.
Yeah, yeah, and see what you can see. So
But
brilliant.
what made me go, oh, sorry, what made me choose homeopathy was just how holistic it was, because I found with natural medicine, it was more like, or naturopathy and herbal medicine, you're more treating the physical symptoms
Okay.
and yeah, not so much the mental, emotional. And homeopathy is getting to the root cause rather than just treating the symptoms.
Yeah, that's what we love about it, isn't it? Just actually finding out what is so different about somebody and why are they reacting the way that they react emotionally and physically
Yeah.
to everything around them.
It's such a great journey. I just love getting in and just seeing someone's life and seeing their personality and their story unfold. That's just so rewarding. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I do agree. And of course, but homeopathy is, just a small medium of medicine. And yet it is so huge, isn't it? So diverse. So many remedies, so much that we can help with. It's hard to get to know even the basics.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And everyone has a story. It's brilliant. You think, oh, they just grew up normally and nothing happened in their life, and oh, how wrong I am.
Yeah, that's true. So let's have a look at Arnica. Let's go right back to basics because
Yeah.
a remedy that a lot of people know, to use it acutely, but it is just such a vast remedy, isn't it?
No, it definitely is. Yeah, if you're going to have one remedy, you need to have arnica. It's just does so much. It's interesting because it grows on the mountains in Europe, and that's where you often need arnica. People, legend has it that the mountaineers would chew on the fresh plant when they had sprains or sore muscles or injury from falls. And also, interestingly enough, goats will eat it if they're injured. So yes, most people know it as a bruise and shock remedy.
Yeah.
Good for sprains and sore muscles after exertion. But it goes a lot further and a lot deeper than that. It's a brilliant remedy to have in labour. It gets the labour going. It's great for bleeding, and there's of course the pain and soreness of labour. And that's the key things with remedy with arnica is the soreness.
Okay.
Soreness and bruising are major things. It helps the heart, which I was amazed at, and with enlarged heart and fatty heart and angina and degenerative diseases of the heart, and the chest as well with things like whooping cough and pneumonia. The people will they'll say often, leave me alone. I don't need a doctor. They'll send the doctor away.
Yeah.
And often especially like say after a trauma and they're really injured and they'll go, no, go away, I don't need any help. And you can see they're obviously really badly injured.
Yeah.
So that's a really interesting thing about arnica. You can use it in fevers. The head will be hot and the body will be cold often, and they'll feel beaten and bruised.
Yeah. Yeah.
The bed feels too hard and they can't get comfortable. They're actually better walking around. And surgery, of course, is really good. It's debatable whether to have arnica before an operation. Surgeons often advise against it. On one hand, they say don't have arnica, and then the other hand, they say it's a placebo, so they can't make up their minds there. But after surgery.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of published papers about using arnica around surgery. There's a lot of evidence, and there's a lot of studies that have been done. So if people do want to research more about the uses of arnica, it is a great remedy to show people that we have got lots of evidence for our remedies as well.
Yeah, and if I speak to someone about homeopathy, a lot of the times they'll say, "Oh, arnica." Yeah.
Yes.
And they'll think about the cream, which is actually a herbal remedy, herbal use of the Arnica, but at least, Arnica's good because it's got the story out there for people to know about homeopathy.
Yes, it was one of the first remedies licensed in the UK. In the UK, the licensing is just, obviously set up by mainstream medicine, where one thing has to be good, get results for one specific thing. And so Arnica was the first remedy that got that licensing, which cost the pharmaceuticals, a huge amount of money to do that. And that's why the whole system doesn't suit homeopathy, because, of course, as you said, Arnica's good for heart, it's good for chest, it's good for so many different areas, but we would have to have different licensing if we were to list it for all of those as as remedies to sell on the shelf. But as you said, the good news is it's down there for bruises and shock, and people know about it. People have used it quite often, and sometimes without ever realizing that they're using homeopathy as well.
I've got 4 children, 4 really active children.
Okay.
Well, not so much children now, more adults, but I went through bottles and bottles of Arnica when they were younger. They were always bouncing off some wall or hurting themselves somehow.
Yeah. It's a great remedy for using as an acute remedy when an accident happens. But of course, it is much deeper as well, isn't it? It's useful for bumps and bruises that might have happened many years before.
Oh, exactly. Yes. And chronic disease such as arthritis and neurological disorders and even depressions, actually, if they've occurred from trauma years ago, they can be helped with Arnica. And a big, huge, really big thing is concussion too. And they might have had concussion 5-10 years ago. Arnica can help with that concussion and whatever effects it's had on the person. So that's invaluable, because lots of people have concussion and years later they're still suffering from problems associated, never been well since the concussion.
Yeah, absolutely. And quite often people don't realize that the health now, it all goes back to that one point where things changed and things were knocked out. And there aren't many modalities of medicine that can actually go back to that point and say, well, if we actually address that, then everything now from then on can be rebalanced.
Yeah, it's amazing. It was funny, I was getting ready to do this podcast, and then I stood on my daughter's fingers. So she needed Arnica, and then my husband was up in the middle of the night looking for Arnica, because he's a builder, so he often gets sore and painful muscles and bruised muscles. So you only have to talk about it for it to become useful.
Exactly. And isn't it funny, once you start to bring it into the into your mind, then there are lots of applications to be using it as well. So do you use it quite a bit on the family?
Yes, lots. Yes.
Yeah. And tell us
I try not to overuse things, though. If you overuse it, I find that then people don't react as well.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes less is better with homeopathy.
Of course. Tell us a little bit about Arnica for your husband.
Oh, so my husband had recurring boils actually on his lower legs, and one would heal, and then no sooner had it healed, then another one would appear, and this kept going on. He was seeing his homeopath, and eventually she came across Arnica, used Arnica on him, and then they went, that was it, end of story. And like I said, he's doing a job where he's bashed and banged around a lot. And actually, in the repertory, there's only one remedy under recurring boils, and that's Arnica.
Really?
And they're really painful, and they come in crops too, small painful boils. Yeah, so that was brilliant. I never dreamed that Arnica would be the remedy.
You just don't think of it for that, do you? But interesting that he'd tried other remedies and that hadn't had the effect. And as soon as you hit on the right remedy, that's it.
Bingo. Yeah. and because it can be used for acne and psoriasis and eczema as well.
That's really interesting, is it? Oh, I'm going to go and check a few things now. I've got a couple of people that sometimes you just get stuck and you think, no, I've just not got the, hit the nail on the head with this. And it is worth just going back to the polycrest remedies that have got such a huge picture and just see what's in there, because of course the polycrest means that we've got so much experience, so much information of the remedies being used in specific cases around the world over so many years. We've got a lot of information written down about them.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, even there's so much online now, which is great.
It's a good help, isn't it? You've got another case for us, have you?
Yes. Interestingly enough, occurred on the mountain. So it was one cold, frosty day, and it was all icy and quite slippery. And we were walking up the mountain. We were going snowboarding. And then I came across a man who was lying on his back. He'd hit his head, slipped and hit his head on the ice. And he was lying there and he was shaking. He was just about convulsing. His family were with him and they'd called the medics. And I said, can I give him some Arnica? And they agreed. Luckily, they were Fijian Indians, so they were open to it. And I gave him some Arnica and he came to, really, and he started talking. It was excellent. Then the medics arrived, so I gave him another one, and they were able to help him up. He was able to walk to the ambulance. And I thought, I don't know what happened after that, but I'd like to think maybe I saved that man's life.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well done you having it on your body first of all.
Oh, yes.
Your remedies up.
I always take my Arnica to the mountain because invariably I get quite sore trying to keep up with the kids.
Of course.
But some other times when I've seen someone fall over, or like a child who's hurt himself, I ask the parent, can I give them Arnica? And they're not keen, which is such a shame.
Yeah. That is a shame. If only they knew. We are so
they're very suspicious
and
conservative in New Zealand.
Okay. So tell me about homeopathy in New Zealand. How much of the population know about homeopathy or are open to trying it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm trying to get more and more people interested in homeopathy or knowing about homeopathy. I'm quite lucky where I live. There's a health food store down the road that has a supply of some remedies, and then there's another chemist that stocks quite a few. But most people, when you talk about homeopathy, it's like, oh, is that herbal medicine?
Yeah. Similar to the UK.
I've got
similar to the UK. That a lot of people.
I think you guys are probably better because you're closer to Europe, and maybe people are more open-minded there.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, as you say, a lot of Europe, the doctors prescribe homeopathy, and it's much more well known. But England is difficult, and actually only 4% of the population even know about homeopathy.
Wow.
Yeah,
we have got a homeopathic pharmacy. They do anthroposophical. Have you heard of Walida? That's in our local. Oh yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's in our area. So that's been really good. And there's anthroposophical, which is like a type of homeopathy, doctors in the area. So that's quite good. But my good friend, she'd been using homeopathy with her children and taken them to a homeopath. Then her husband had an ankle replacement, and I was sure that he would want homeopathy. But it turned out that no, he didn't believe in homeopathy, even though he'd seen it work on his children.
Yeah.
I have to work on him.
Yes, it takes time, doesn't it? And that's when you usually get okay, I've tried everything else and nothing's worked. So you can't do any more damage.
Right, that's right. And because he read what the skeptics have said and said, oh, there's nothing of the original substance left in the remedy. But actually, with the high-powered microscopes, it shows that there's nanoparticles of the original remedy left.
I think we're
So,
very close to seeing how it affects solutions, and because I think it's a shame that we haven't got the actual science, but I think we are getting closer and closer to it.
that's great. Yay.
Well, it's been lovely talking to you, Liz, and it's just so brilliant. What I love is the fact that all over the world we have people using homeopathy, and we can all come together. And because once you've tried it and once you've seen it work, once you've seen what happens, it's very difficult to deny it, isn't it? And to not allow it into your life.
Yes, just feel that shift in your body. That's just brilliant. You think, that's it. It's doing its job.
Yes,
We're so lucky to have homeopathy. Thank you, Hannah.
Yes, indeed, absolutely. I just can't imagine my life without it, to be honest. I think once, you can't unlearn something, can you? And I just feel so privileged that we have got the homeopathic choice, alongside everything else in the world as well. And the world must be a better place because of it.
Definitely. Yeah. Helping us to vibrate more highly.
Exactly. Just as the remedies do.
Yes, that's right.
Thank you very much. Speak to you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye, Mary.
Thank you, Liz. It was so lovely talking to you today. And what a great idea just to go back to Arnica and just to be thinking about how these simple remedies have got such a huge picture that we can really be using them and understanding them and carry on learning about them. And it's going to help our homeopathic prescribing. Now, next week, I will be talking to you about our choice, about the homeopathic choice, about our choices in life, choices in food, our choices in what we do. I look forward to seeing you there. Take care. I do hope you've enjoyed these episodes, and I do hope you can subscribe to our channels. Now, there are various ways for you to listen to our podcast or watch it on video on YouTube. So whether it's iTunes, Spotify, or YouTube, please do subscribe and please do leave us a review. If you leave us a review on these platforms, then more people will see our podcast. We just want more people to share the joy of homeopathy. It's a choice that everybody should know about. Please do everything you can to help us help more people.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode and look forward to listening to our next one. Please don't forget to follow our podcast on your chosen channel, and please do leave us a review so we can continue to share homeopathy with as many people as possible. If you do have any questions, please do reach out to us on any of our social platforms mentioned in the show notes. We at Homeopathy 24/7 hope to empower you on your natural health journey.